Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of the Sunday Spin. I'm Vinny G coming to you live from the 6-4. This week and every week, we're brought to you by the good people at Grooves Records in San Francisco. Our man, Kevin Chanel, right from a big triumphant return to San Diego. More about that. Also brought to you by our friends at What's Left Records. We had the honor of having our man live there yesterday. We're going to talk about that. It's been a big weekend for Anonymous Collective Records. Special shout out to our friends, the Eddies, playing in San Diego as well. Having said all of that, Greno, my man, what's up?
Oh, it's a glorious time to be alive, my friend. Wow, Vinny, you look wonderful as always.
Thank you, my man. It was a big weekend down here. I'm really proud.
Absolutely.
Of the collection of Anonymous Collective artists making their way.
And speaking of, thanks for sporting the Menagerie shirt there, my brother.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's so awesome.
Right of the 719.
Yes, sir. Chama in the house. Definitely.
You betcha. That face looks familiar, Greno. Tell us all about him.
Oh, man, this guy right here. We go way back. You know, Vin, like you said, Anonymous Collective, been around maybe 10 years now.
Yeah,
he's been a part of it for a good portion, and more importantly, though, he's been making really good music. A fantastic songwriter for a very long time. Even wrote a whole one song for one day each. We'll talk about that later. We wrote like 365 songs one year, and I was in the midst of that one year. We hung out quite a bit. So, anyways, none other than. Gosh, so many names. CJ Hackett, Prefab Soul, The Yeti. What's up, my friend? So good to see you today.
Hey, yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you, guys. Like the smiling faces. I like the warm welcomes. You know, it's a good time. It's a good time.
Thank you for joining us. You know, and right off the bat, CJ, I want to tell you when friends from the 719 that I'm blessed enough to have talk about CJ Hackett, I always bring up the word prolific.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The versatility, the experience, the track record. If there's one thing a musician wants to be, it's prolific.
You're making me
blush. My hat is off to you. Absolutely. You've earned that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Yeah, I'm feeling the love.
It's just really good to see you, CJ. You know, it's been such a long time. And in fact, last time that we were hanging out a couple of years ago, we were making music together, and that's a wonderful memory. Doing the Thurston Ronaldo. That was you on bass and me on drums, Vinny.
Oh yeah, I remember that show. That was one of my favorites.
And What's Left crew. Brian Ostro was with us. Mark Rabb, Colin Estes. Just a great group of people. But I always love making music with you because you're so open. You have a wonderful ear. But where did that all begin for you? We always love to start right there. Like
the very beginning.
It's the quintessential.
Yes, inquiring minds want to know. And on a personal level, I know the stories from a point to the present. I know very few beginnings. And to me, it's the most exciting part of the show. It's what I look forward to the most.
It's the good stuff,
man. Surprises.
Yep.
So yeah, CJ, if you please, where does it all begin? We like to ask first musical memory.
First musical memory. Man, okay, that's a good question. First of all, I just want to say, I've always liked playing with you, Glenn, as well. Just you always get like such a wide cast of talented people to work with, and it's just always fun. There's not a lot of pressure, and we just, whatever we come up with, I know it's going to be good.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, you guys are great. Where did it start? I didn't start playing guitar until I was like a teen, but I used to play piano. That was like my first instrument when I was like a little kid. Like I'd play the piano, like to sing a little bit, but I never really got into it until, just being a teen, being emotional and wanting to write things and express thoughts and all that stuff. And just always been a fan of like grunge and a lot of like alternative rock music growing up. And, that just kind of stuck with me. And so I've always tried to write things that I felt were relatable and music that kind of reflects that. Though sometimes I think the sound that I have honestly just comes from kind of a lack of understanding of music theory until I was older, you know, to really appreciate that. You know, I was very self-taught, and I just want to make good music. And I know a lot of people say that, but it's like, I want to make music that is good to my ear personally, you know, something that I would love to hear.
Yeah.
And so that's always just kind of the goal. It's like, let's just keep improving, get better at this, and like find new ways to express thoughts and ideas and bring them to life, you know?
That's really reflective, right, Ben? That's just
really it is. I love what he said about, you know, we all have similar paths age-wise. If we're piano 7 to 10, guitar 11 to 13. He's the first person that actually brought up the expression part about it, not musically, but internally.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely fascinating, and in a way defines the man, because frankly, I got into this to meet girls. So
I love it, Vinny.
So I appreciate the fact that you had that mindset at that age.
Oh, don't get me wrong. You know, the first song I wrote was about a girl, you know, and you know, when I asked my parents to get a guitar, they were like, "Is this to get girls?" And they were like,
"Yes."
You know, but yeah, you know, with relationships with girls, you know, feelings do come out of that, you know, and so I've come to realize that love in relationships like that has always been a great source of inspiration, and not just with women, but my relationships with, you know, my friends and things like that, and just how it affects me. You know, I like to write about self-awareness, and just, you know, sometimes you're not always the best person. Sometimes you're not always the good guy. Sometimes you make mistakes. And I think that's important to write about. And I think when I was younger, I didn't see that a lot. And so, you know, that's something I try to focus on now.
That's great. Get to look at kind of inward at some of the more difficult things. And I love what you said. And I think Vinny and I, this rings true of a lot of great artists that we know and admire, like yourself, is you said your music, you want it to sound good to your ears. You know, like that's your first concern, not always like, oh, you know, what's the crowd gonna think, or what's, you know, or the people, you know, my fans or my audience, what's the core group gonna feel? And instead you're like, no, start with my ears right here, and let's make it sound good for my ears. And that's what Prefab Soul, I mean, it epitomizes that, doesn't it, Vinny?
Yeah, and I love what you said, Jeep. I would take it just one step further, if I may, but just to say that all those things are true. You know, you have to like your product. More importantly, I think you have to identify with it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you like it or not, if it's not you and you can't identify with it, if it's not a piece of yourself. And yeah, again, throwing my 2 cents into the wishing well. Yeah, I want my music I want people to say that doesn't sound like somebody pretending to be Vinny G. It's Vinny G.
Yeah.
And Breno, you've always nailed that, as you have, CJ. And it goes back to being true to yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, oddly enough, I was just having a talk with my therapist last week, just randomly. We talked about music, and he was saying that, you know, every creation, every project, every track that you make, that is a piece of you, and that's okay. You know, it doesn't have to be the best. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a piece of you that you're putting out there. And even if it doesn't get the response that you want, or doesn't come out the way you want, you know, there's more to you than that. You know, there's more to you as a human being, as an artist, and you've got plenty more to share, you know, and just got to keep going. And, you know, as I look at you guys, yeah, it's like, you guys have definitely always put new things out, and always like put your best foot forward. You know, even this show, you know, which I'm happy to be on, you know, it's like, it's great to see Greeno still pushing, you know, and like always trying to showcase new music and artists, and just what you love about the world. And I love that.
Thank you. It means a lot, man. It really does. It's
it truly does. And, you know, if there's one thing I take pride in, and I'm sure G, you'd agree with me, is we're passing it on. That's literally all we are, is the conduit. There's a lot of people that were doing this with a lot more effort, a lot more time, and a hell of a lot less resourcefulness than we have right now. It's a beautiful age.
I mean, you gotta give yourself credit, though, you know, because a lot of people,
Oh,
It might
yeah,
not
we're
even
wrong.
get this far, you know.
Right, yeah. But thank you, CJ. No, it's very humbling, but you know, we get as big a kick out of talking with our friends and our influences and so forth. It's a dream gig, right, G?
It's so rewarding. Every week I look forward to doing this. You know, it's always like I wake up on Sunday and I'm like, oh, the spin. Who do we got? You know, and it's like, and CJ, you're a person too, and Vinny knows this as well. Where a few folks are like, yeah, have you had CJ on yet? And I'm like, hey man, he's busy. It's like you were that guy that even other guests were asking if we'd had you on yet.
Damn, okay, all right.
So. Yeah.
I haven't meant to be such a ghost, especially with
not at all
going on,
It says a lot about what people think of you in your musical community.
Yeah.
That cannot be denied. Sure. People were going, hey, what about CJ? As, hey, have you forgotten about this guy? Is he an omission? He shouldn't be. And you should be very proud of that, frankly.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, I am. I try, I never want to get like a big ego or anything like that, but it does definitely kind of invigorate me, when I have those moments of doubt, and it's like, okay, like I know there are people who are listening and they enjoy this, and, no matter what I put out, like I'm still going to have good friends and, just have a good time, and that's the important thing I try to remember. But it does, fill my heart with warmth, to know that people out there are listening and that they care. And, that they're looking for me, even though I've been, kind of under a rock for a little bit, but I think it's going to be worth it. I think it's going to pay off soon.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. The cream always rises. It always rises. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I do want to mention, CJ, is your versatility and the way you're able to handle multiple musical tasks. That's just not something I'm gifted with, frankly. Lack of experience, whatever it is. And I always admire Greno for the way he's able to do that. But you're another prime example. So what I want to know is what's in the water in the 719 that is making for this, because I want you to send me some, please.
Yeah, I'll bottle some up for you. I'll send it out to you. I don't know exactly what it is. It's just since I was a kid, I've just felt like there's always been very creative people around me, and it just felt very important to let the world know, like these are great and interesting people who are very creative in ways that, defy even my mind sometimes. And it's like, they deserve to be heard, they've got a voice just like anybody else. And I've just tried to embrace that, and share that with others. And I wish I knew the answer where it comes from. It's just, maybe it's the altitude,
Repeat that. I hadn't thought of that. So, yeah, maybe I'll have to pack my bags.
I've got my own. We can all talk off the air about it. No, it's not that it's negative, but it's kind of a little bit of a diverse answer. But I want to get a little interactive here, Vinny. We've got David Andrews has been enjoying the show, so I want to show a couple comments, and then he actually has a question for you, CJ.
Oh, cool.
So we'll show this one first. That's We Love Vincent Glenn. David, we love you as well.
Thank David you so out in Oceanside. How are you, brother?
And for those people that do make comments, we really try and show them. Sometimes we show them at the end. Great guest. And then now, David, thank you so much, has a question for you, CJ. So let's get interactive here on the spin.
All right.
David, thank you so much. And David's question is the following. CJ, can you tell us some of your mentors or idols that you had when you were growing up? Great
question. Fabulous question, David. Yeah. And David, we owe you a CD, brother. So yeah, I have one put aside for you, my man. Absolutely. CJ, that's a great question, David, if you wouldn't mind, CJ.
Yeah.
Mentors and idols. This might sound weird, but I guess the first idol, the first like musician I ever like really looked up to and tried to, emulate was Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins.
Sure.
That song Tonight is like one of the first songs I can remember as like a child, and I've just always been fascinated with what it represented and like the music video. And from there, I've kind of got into a lot of musicians that I felt kind of, maybe that they kind of stood a little bit more on their own, you know, instead of just being part of a band, you know, very strong like solo artists, or, you know, bands that are kind of a little bit more singer-songwriter focused, I guess, if that makes sense. So Billy Corgan, Kelly from Block Party, Ben Gibbard, you know, I've always loved his songwriting and things like that. And then people like Tom Beck, and this might be the strangest of all because it's not really a musical influence, but Stephen King. I've always loved the way that he uses words, and that's something I've tried to take into writing lyrics and things like that, like really trying to put imagery and like thoughts into people's heads, you know. But just artists like that have always kind of inspired me. It's like people who might not have had, you know, all the tools to make something like really amazing and intricate, but they still like worked with what they had to make really incredible music. Yeah. So I hope that sums it up.
It does. It's a great answer, and it's very interesting too, especially the literary part of it, Grandma. That amazed me and explains a lot about the differences in our songwriting styles, because let's face it, you don't get a lot of good ideas from Archie's comics.
Hey, that's not true. I don't know.
Yeah. CJ loves comics as well. That's a whole nother realm.
I do.
It's that, you know, my literary background as such doesn't allow for, you know, stealing creativity from those sources. But Stephen King, wow.
Well, you know, I'm glad you said that, but like another big inspiration for me has been like TV, like TV shows, and like Pete and Pete, for example, just kind of surreal TV shows, and like how they affected me, or like what thoughts they put in my head. So I feel like really you can find inspiration from anything, even Archie comics, you know, and, you know, whatever brings you joy, you know, I say go for it, you know. No,
that's awesome, man. TV, we haven't had that answer yet.
No, but it rings true, doesn't it, Grano?
Yeah, I mean, you stole it from Red Cross, because that was going to be probably one of, you know, that was the first band that I saw that did, other than the Nephews doing the Munsters theme, that I would see a band do TV themes. They did the Good Times theme, the Partridge Family theme, and they would nail it, you know? So it's great that maybe you should do a theme song cover to the things that you really like, man, for Anonymous Collective. By the way, CJ Prefab Soul is on Anonymous Collective now. Man, we're so happy. This guy's great.
Thrilled. Yeah, thrilled is the word, really. So,
right? And we want a couple more comments. We're hot today. So Stephanie.
Hi, Steph.
Wednesday night, Amiga, doing her thing, Pondering Mike. So check her out on her network as well, right? So yeah, she's all over the place.
Up to 6'4". That's our staff, right?
Always bringing it. And then David had a response. So that is awesome. CJ couldn't have summed it up better.
Well, thanks for watching, David. Thanks for asking that question.
I know, that was like one of the first questions that we've had like that. So it's
you gotta love the interaction.
So prefabsoul.bandcamp.com. Wow. I mean, Outside Dreamland, that was the first EP that you put out?
Yeah.
Vinny, remember we were talking before the show about this thing came out last summer, so right amidst the pandemic, 2020, a year that many want to forget, many have already trying to forget. But man, that music that you made for us is so soothing and just wonderful, so positive and revealing. Thank you so much for that, Vinny, and I know he concurs. But that was a new project that came out of what kind of experimentation with music? Very different than your, you know, songwriting,
truly,
your guitar and your band and stuff.
Quite the departure. Yeah.
You know, I think that came from frankly, just kind of a desire to be better as a producer, you know, to kind of understand music, engineering, and theory a little bit better. And, you know, it felt like a interesting way to tackle it from the point of like electronica and things like that. And I've recently gotten really big into like vaporwave and trap and like some of the lesser known like music genres right now. And I think they do like really incredible stuff sometimes. You know, it's like listening to some of these songs is like looking at like an artist like doing like a beautiful painting or something, and it's just what they can do just really impresses me. And so I really wanted to, you know, try that myself. You know, I've always produced stuff, but I've always been kind of haphazard about it, just making things, you know, as quickly as possible just to get it out there. And so last year was like the first time where I was like, you know, let's see what we can do. And like, let's really be conscious about it and how we put it together. And that was kind of the start of it.
Wow.
Terrific. Yeah. And despite the fact that it was a musical departure from the norm for you, with unbelievable results positively, I can tell you, for one, I was not surprised, excuse me, about the way you took this. And it's perfect, quite frankly. The departure, it did not surprise me, though. That's just what makes CJ, in my opinion.
Thank you. Yeah, I always try to keep it, I don't know if fresh is the right word, but yeah, I just always want to keep moving, just, you know, working on something new, just bringing something different every time.
We got some cool links at the bottom for you folks, because I know our friend Stephanie had already commented. Let's get that back on. Another comment, look forward to learning more about CJ. So there's some reference for her and others to enjoy Prefab Soul. Also Yeti. He's got a really groovy band called A Bad Night for a Hero.
Yeah.
He's all over the place. And Vinny, I know you know this better than anyone. Super, super honored to have him on the Anonymous Collective with his two called best friends that I adore. I think it's such a great, because it's Prefab Soul, but there's little elements of Yeti leaking in. It's almost like Yeti. No, it's still prefab. It's very true to that sound, but yet it's a little bit of both. I adore it.
Agreed. And I would add to that by saying it really fits the label's mood for this summer, which has been about reverence and celebration. Yes. If anyone can do it, it's, as I always say, it's the pipers and the artists spreading the message, you know? And there's no finer example, Greno, than the gentleman we've had with us. Really want to thank you, but it's very important to us weekly that we give you a chance to give your shout outs. And I'm sure you've got some, CJ. So as we like to say here, the floor is yours, sir.
Oh, man. Okay. You know, after the year that we've had, if I would shout out anybody, it would probably be, some of the friends that are no longer with us, unfortunately.
Mutual friends, I might add, sure.
Yeah. And last year took a lot from us, and that's kind of changed my perspective on things. And so I guess I would just give a shout out to anyone watching or listening. Life is too short. Do what makes you happy. The world is on fire right now. But if you can find some way to be happy and, just be yourself, or just do something that brings you joy and brings you love in your life, do it, just do it, follow it. There's just nothing to lose, nothing to lose but yourself. I know it's kind of cheesy, I don't know, but
no,
I think the words to live by. And it makes me proud to know you as a friend and as a fellow artist. What do you see for the future of the 719? Because I got to tell you, again, as an outsider who makes his pilgrimage, annually, it seems like it's very positive at this aspect, especially in the live department. And that makes me very excited. What are your feelings?
Well, a lot of people are doing shows again, which is good. So it seems like we're kind of bouncing back, which is awesome. I honestly have no clue. The city has changed so much. And just last year, it's like, we were kind of forced to seclude ourselves, and now we're kind of rushing out, and there's kind of this explosion of, excitement because people can finally see shows again and just get out and be themselves. I think it's going to be a good thing. As we come out of this, and, I'm curious, what other venues are going to open up, but it feels like we still kind of have to recover, the Black Sheep is awesome, but stuff like losing the Triple Nickel and the Zodiac, it's at least for me, that kind of stings, and, there's Lulu's, which is good. And so I'm hoping that we get to see a little bit more stages and stuff where artists can really like express themselves. And you know, I know they're out there. I know they're coming, but yeah.
Well, it's people like you that make them get out there, honestly. And you know, really, one thing again as an outsider that I see about the 719 is the fan base is a loyal one. Much more show. So I'm not going to name names or titles of cities, but yes, it's one of the more solid fan bases in terms of loyalty, and that they will stick with you and make the effort. Yeah. So, you know, your thoughts on live music in general. I mean, where are we headed?
Yeah, again, this is it's kind of deep stuff.
It's important though.
It is.
You have an insider's opinion on that, and our audience, I'm sure, is very interested to hear.
For sure.
For me, I've still been like a little bit anxious to return to big crowds and things like that for obvious reasons and stuff like that. Yeah. But I think, you know, one important thing that I learned last year, and I think actually this show kind of encapsulates that, is that, you know, we have to find other means to, you know, get our voices heard besides just being on a stage, because sometimes that's not always an option. And so I'm trying to embrace more of the internet and, you know, being on a camera and talking to people online, and just, you know, realizing that even if I'm limited to the space here, you know, or just, you know, being in town, I can still, you know, work my magic, and I can get out to people across the world. And that's a beautiful thing. And I hope that that's something that we can embrace a little bit more going forward.
It sounds like the CJ Hackett show to me, Greno. What do you think?
Fantastic.
Oh man, yeah, thumbs up. That sounds great. Yeah, can we be guests on your show, CJ? Sometime?
Oh yeah, anytime. Anytime. I was gonna say, you know, Green will be drumming, hopefully, you know.
Right. Well, seriously, I think you're made to do it. Frankly, right? You're obviously comfortable, and you're honest.
I try to be.
Yeah, he's made to do this kind of work. Greno, your opinion?
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's just and his interest level on things is so vast, you know. Again, like whether you're talking music, art, comic books, I mean, the guy, literature, you know, so many different things. You know, Stephen King. That I totally relate to that, though. I mean, back to even a lyric that I wrote, Vinny, for Outrage, called "Path of the Sun." Had a line, "Strawberry Spring has just begun," and that was from I think forget which one of the books that had the 3 or 4 short stories in it, and that was one.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the same one with "Stand by Me," but it wasn't called that in the if it was called a different name.
Okay.
Hey, it's summertime, right? So we're rocking the Mulligans summertime. We got the Prefab Soul. So a new release coming? Are we thinking about a new music from Prefab Soul?
Yeah. I've been kind of juggling career opportunities, so to speak. But basically, I'm trying to finish another EP. It's going to be about 8 or 9 tracks. I don't know if you can call it an EP at that point, but
that's a full one. Right?
Yeah. It's going to be. I'm trying to explore themes of isolation and alienation, but not so much in a way where it's just kind of dark and moody, but just playing with some interesting sounds and just trying to, you know, I'm trying to spread my wings just a little bit and just trying to get a little bit deeper with some of the stuff. And I guess what I mean by that is just kind of new effects and just trying to evoke certain emotions and things like that, and pairing it with the animations and artwork that kind of like gives this sense of feeling alone, or maybe those feelings when you don't want to have feelings, you know, when you're bored and, you know, you're trying to find distractions. And so it's kind of a project focused on that, like those feelings. It's going to be called Slunktown, or sorry, that was the old name. The name's going to be called Hikikomori Blues. hikikomori blues. You guys ever heard that term before? The hikikomori.
Yeah.
It's a Japanese word, and I can speak. Hikikomori is somebody who basically has like a severe or crippling like anxiety of the outside world. And so in Japan, there are people who spend like all their times like inside, blinds shut, doors locked, and they just do not want to interact, for whatever reason. I'm sure that, there's person to person, but with everything that happened last year, I felt like that was really, that's something that we can all relate to now, having to be alone, wanting to see people, but also knowing that you can't, and, feeling that internal struggle, that frustration, that you want to reach out to people, but maybe you just don't have the mental energy to do so, And so that's kind of what the new focus is. I'm hoping to have this project out by August. I usually like to post stuff around like my birthday. I don't know. It's just kind of a tradition, so it's coming soon. It's coming soon. And I'll have some more tracks for Anonymous Collective. I'm excited to get out there. Just, fine tuning, just getting everything just right,
Great. Wheels are always moving with CJ, right, Greno?
Oh, man, hit the home run every time.
Yeah.
What a great experience just to be with you today. We're both, just super blessed, man, to have you on board today. And keep up the great work. Love the visual aspect, too, that you bring in. That's kind of a whole nother level with the Prefab Soul. So keep that rolling as well.
We got some big stuff coming.
Yeah, much love. We'll have you back soon. Maybe we get a live performance out of you. We can talk about that sometime in the future. That would be really special.
Yeah, I'd be down.
And Vinny, any famous last words to you or shout outs, my brother, or anything going on?
No, just thanks for the kind words on 66, really. Other than that, keep the faith, keep smiling. Blessed to be working with two people who are as optimistic as I am about the future. Let's try to keep it that way.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen.
And that wraps up another edition of the Sunday Spin, brought to you each and every week by our friends in Grooves Records in San Francisco. Our friend Kevin Chanel just made his way back and drove the 8-hour punk rock up Highway 5 from San Diego to San Francisco. He's safe at home. Played last night with The Front and a bunch of other bands, Shattered Faith, I think, and a whole bunch of others. So we love you. What was the other, Vinny, what was the other one that we had?
We can't forget Barefoot Hockey Goalie played this weekend in San Diego. And the opening act was none other than our friends, the Eddies.
Yep. Very special weekend for them as well. And also just want to say thanks to What's Left Records. Had a wonderful time working there yesterday. I'm heading over there right now to Godspeed Black Emperor. So I'm really excited. And also the Fear. I got the record store day, Fear the Record, which has never been re-released. So, also quick shout out to The Byrds. Vinny, 55 years ago today, The Byrds' Fifth Dimension was released. What a special album. So
CPA 102, right?
Yes, sir. So rock history, and then we're about done with season 2, folks. Next week we got Danny Stewart on. Danny just released some vinyl by his band 6 Sense, Sacramento punk rock from the 90s. So we'll be back then. Until then, though, be safe, be happy, be positive, and be glorious, because Padres scored 24 runs. I throw that in there.
Did they win?
No. They lost by a touchdown. But
seriously, on that note, one last thing. A good buddy that we went to high school with, J-Mo, was at that game. J-Mo, we're glad you're okay, brother. Welcome back to the USA too, man. Take care of yourself. Take care of one another. Love one another.
Everyone, check out Prefab Soul. Check out the Yeti YouTube channels and Prefab Soul. This man is all over the place, so go enjoy his music. It's gonna make you feel better. It's like eating a salad for your soul, baby.
I love it.
We love you guys. We'll see you next week. Stay sexy on the spin and enjoy these hot July nights, baby. We'll see you next week. Love you guys.
Peace.
Stay sexy.